It doesn't always begin with something dramatic. There may have been no shouting, no obvious danger, no moment that looked serious from the outside. But inside the child, something registered very clearly. Something was wrong, and no one was stepping in. You were scared, overwhelmed, or confused, and you searched for an adult to intervene. Someone to notice. Someone to say, "This isn't okay." But the moment passed, and nothing happened. The threat stayed. You stayed alone with it. This is the psychology of the child who was never protected. When protection doesn't arrive, the child doesn't rebel. They adapt. They learn that fear is something to endure quietly, that discomfort is something you survive alone, that asking for help either doesn't work or makes things worse. A child's nervous system is not built to face threat without rescue. When danger appears again and again with no intervention, the body has to choose a survival response. Fighting isn't allowed. Escaping isn't possible. So the system freezes, numbs, or fawns. The child learns to go still, to stay alert, to disappear internally while remaining outwardly functional. They begin watching everything: tone of voice, facial expressions, emotional shifts, because safety now depends on anticipation. Over time, the child stops expecting protection altogether. Not because the need disappears, but because hope becomes unsafe. Hope leads to disappointment. So the system lowers expectations of others in order to survive. This is how learned unsafety forms. The body learns that calm is temporary and danger can arrive without warning. Even neutral environments are scanned for threat, because the past taught one lesson very clearly: no one is coming. Sometimes the adults didn't yell or harm. They minimized. They dismissed. They said, "You're fine," or "You're too sensitive," or they said nothing at all. Silence, especially from caregivers, teaches just as powerfully as words. Without realizing it, the child absorbs a rule: if something hurts me, I deal with it myself. If I'm afraid, I keep it inside. Needing protection becomes something to be ashamed of. What's painful is that this adaptation often gets praised. The child is called mature, easy, independent, responsible. No one sees that this independence was never a choice. It was a necessity. The child who was never protected learns to be low maintenance, to not cause trouble, to not take up space. Their safety comes from being unnoticed rather than defended. But the body remembers what the mind tries to normalize. Growing up without protection leaves a nervous system that never fully relaxes. Even in calm moments, there's tension. Even in safety, there's vigilance. In adulthood, this shows up quietly. You may struggle to ask for help even when you need it. You may freeze during conflict, unable to speak when something feels wrong. Your body learned long ago that intervention doesn't come. You might tolerate mistreatment longer than others. Not because you think it's acceptable, but because it feels familiar. Because enduring without rescue became your baseline. Kindness can feel suspicious. Care without strings can feel uncomfortable. A part of you waits for the moment it disappears, because in the past, safety never lasted. This pattern isn't a flaw, it's not weakness. It's a conditioned response. The nervous system did exactly what it had to do to survive an environment where protection was unreliable or absent. But beneath all of this is an unmet need that never went away. You didn't need perfection. You didn't need ideal caregivers. You needed someone to stand between you and what overwhelmed you. You needed someone to say, "This stops here." That moment never came. And because it never came, your body learned to brace instead of trust. Healing doesn't begin by forcing yourself to move on. It begins by telling the truth about what was missing. Not exaggerating it, not minimizing it, just acknowledging it. The repair isn't about becoming tougher. It's about becoming protective of yourself. About responding to fear with care instead of dismissal. This is where reparenting begins. In boundaries, in listening to discomfort, in taking your own signals seriously, instead of overriding them the way others once did. Protection, later in life, looks like leaving situations that feel wrong even if you can't fully explain why. It looks like saying no without guilt. Like choosing environments where your nervous system can finally soften. At first, this feels unfamiliar, even selfish, because you were trained to endure, not to defend yourself. Safety feels unnatural when danger was once normal. But each time you respond to your own fear with presence instead of abandonment, something begins to change. The body learns a new pattern, slowly, carefully. You become the one who intervenes, the one who notices, the one who stands between yourself and harm.
Not because you're broken, but because you finally can.
The child who was never protected didn't fail. They survived the only way they knew how. But you are no longer trapped in that role. You can choose now to be the safety that never arrived. And that moment when you stop abandoning yourself is not weakness. It is protection at last.